Right now, Guyana is going through one of the biggest economic transformations in modern day history, and the country as a whole needs to be careful of this disease. We're talking of none other than the Dutch disease. No, it's not a medical condition, but rather it's what happens to a country when it finds a valuable resource, example oil, and that resource grows so big it weakens other parts of the economy. The term was first coined by the Economist magazines due to the 1960s in Netherlands when they discovered natural gas and the entire manufacturing sector collapsed. One of the effects of the Dutch disease is the inflation and spending effect. With an influx of capital into the country, the government spends more money on roads, infrastructure, and salaries. So as Guyana earns more money due to the oil revenue, the government would now use that money and spend it on developing the country. Also, businesses will invest more into the country as there's more economic activity going on within the economy. This now would cause goods such as cement, steel, workers, land, apartments, all to rise. This is known as inflation. This is because so much money is being spent on these goods. That would mean now that the prices of these goods will raise as the demand is higher and the supply is still the same. The laws of demand and supply would apply, causing scarcity in many sectors, leading to the price of these goods to rise. So although people may be earning more, the prices of everyday goods and services are also rising. So just because you're earning more doesn't mean you're actually in a better position, because the prices of all the goods and services around you might be rising as well. Also, if you're a business owner, this poses a lot of threats to your business as rising costs will eat into your margins. Well, what you could do as a business owner right now in Guyana, you need to position yourself in the growth sectors of Guyana. There's a lot of sectors within Guyana that is poised for major growth over the next coming years, and you'd want to position yourself and your money in those sectors. Well, you could find out which industries to position yourself, and also a lot more information if you're an investor and also just a regular Guyanese citizen in Guyana through my online course that's live right now. In the course, you learn how to win in Guyana's economy if you're a business owner, if you're an investor, or if you're an individual. You'll also learn about the Dutch disease and which sectors are expected to grow and sink. All for the low affordable price of $50 or 10,000 Guyanese dollars. To register, you just need to go to ezraeconomics.com and you can enroll right there. So go check it out right now, ezraeconomics.com, and you get all the information there, and you can enroll and learn about what's going on in Guyana right now and how to position yourself.
I'm down in Guyana with the car them away with pan gas, line out long like the Amazon River. I mean, I question myself, say, how Guyana is the first one to run out of gas? How? I wonder if I really Guyana. Come here, so weird. How Guyana run out of gas? How? Like, we have the most island of the West Indies and one of the first to run out of gas. I start do some research and I realize the Guyana refine their own oil. So I guess they buy back their own oil. So even if you buy back your own oil, you don't have nothing where you store your oil in. Like really? For 1 million people? Come on now, man. Come on now. Not Guyana, man. Guyana not be the first one to run out of gas. If I did Jamaica, wouldn't so bad. But Jamaica refine Trinidad Island and people oil. So Jamaica not gonna run out so easy. But at the same time, Guyana not be the first. No man, Guyana can't be the first, man. It look bad. It look away. Yeah man, it look good. Guyana.
You guys know that Guyana is the fastest growing economy in the entire world. However, a lot of people in the country are actually wondering, will the amount of oil they actually have benefit them right now as citizens living in Guyana and also the future generations to come. In 2015, Guyana actually discovered oil for the very first time, and boy, that has led to the success which Guyana is actually having right now. They actually have 11 billion recoverable amounts of oil within the country, and it is projected by 2030 per day, Guyana is going to be making around 1.7 million barrels of oil, and since 2015 they have actually had over 30 discoveries of oil throughout the whole country. That is absolutely amazing. But again, a lot of people are asking the questions, when will it actually benefit them? Because they are seeing it benefit the wealthier people in Guyana, but not a lot of the communities which aren't as wealthy and actually need more funding and more development. A lot of people want to see the money coming from the oil to go into places like healthcare, education, and job opportunities for everyone in the entire country, and just building it up even further in terms of infrastructure. And I know there's a lot of critics also who are saying they are seeing the impact of climate change in Guyana, and yes, this oil boom is helping them as a nation, but them drilling more and more oil is only going to get the climate crisis even worse for them as a country and the rest of the globe. So these are all very important questions they are asking as a people. And let's not forget, it tends to be the oil companies who benefit more than the government, and it's about the government making the best decisions with these oil companies, if not the people in Guyana, the Guyanese citizens demanding change. But I want to hear all your thoughts in the comment section down below.
Yeah, Fox Street, Guyana found oil. Guyana oil money, all the billions, supposed to be for all Guyanese. And I'm not going to lie, the president, the government of Guyana developed Guyana nicely. He added roads, he added more buildings, infrastructure. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. I think he did a great job with trying to make Guyana look a little more modern style, like Dubai or somewhere, okay? However, Guyana is supposed to be enjoying the sweetness. Now that we found oil, at least we need more nice houses. Take the people off the streets, get some more shelter, invest in more, things that make sense for the Guyanese people. How the hell somebody could be paying $500 and $600 for a small bundle of bore like that, and Guyana found oil? Guyana is a top oil country right now, President.
$123 billion US dollars. The equivalent, the equivalent to 250 something, 57 or something like a billion, but me, I don't think I can't even think straight. Billion Guyana dollars. But I do have a question for you. How much of that money did you, as a Guyanese citizen, saw in your pocket? How much of that did you see in your pocket? You don't know? Let me tell you. 85,000 Guyana dollars. That's what you saw out of 257 billion. That is what you saw. $85,000. Not even 500 US dollars you saw out of that. If you, as a Guyanese citizen, don't see an issue with this, then you are the problem. Please don't come under my post and make it political, because it is not. My post is not a political post. It is just common sense and common knowledge. Y'all understand what I'm saying? Out of $123 billion, we saw 85,000. Again, please don't come and make me post political. Y'all have a good day, a good night, a good morning. Whenever time y'all see this video, I gone. Y'all take this make sense of it and watch.
Street.
A Guyana flagged tanker carrying Iranian oil gets seized by the US military in the Indian Ocean. Hello, this is Athena with Messy Thursday. This is where things get real interesting. Let me talk about it. Because now the question is not just what happened, it's why is Guyana even in the middle of this kind of situation? Why is Guyana even in center of this kind of situation? See, this is what I keep telling people. When a small country starts sitting at big tables, you just don't get benefits when you sit at the table. You get the problems too. Oil money sounds good until your flag starts showing up in international headlines you didn't sign up for. And let's be honest, half the people reading that headline don't even understand what a flagged vessel means. So let's talk about the flagged vessel. They just see Guyana and assume involvement. That's how reputation gets shaped quietly without your permission. Here is the messy part in all of this. The same global powers that protect trade are the same ones that control trade. So today it's seizing a tanker. Tomorrow it's setting the rule. And small countries, they don't get to play neutral for long. So before we celebrate oil wealth, ask yourself this. Are we building power or are we just being positioned? Because those are two different things. Tell me in the comment section, do you think Guyana is in control right now or just caught in the middle? I'm looking forward to hearing from you in the comment section.
I can't even talk hard right now. I pass a speed camera and I decide to increase my speed and I start driving a little speed. And all I see is Gordon Mosley face appear in my windscreen and start telling me, "Hello, don't you know you paid 19,000 to fill your tank?" Right away, I had to slow down. 19,000. I normally pay 13,500 or 14 grand for full up my tank. 19,000. I gotta talk easy because like I shame. Oh my God. I wonder if the government is using these high gas prices to make sure that we don't drive speed. Because remember the speed cameras in there all over. 19,000 I pay to full my gas. I'm not driving speed. I'm going slow.
Comprehension was something you never used to pay attention to when you was going to school, because when I was going to school, we had English language plus we had composition, right? And then we had comprehension. So if those things were not part of your school curriculum, I can't help you to understand when I speak. My videos are probably not for you, okay? But let me break down what you say. You say Guyana was not always oil rich. Why every time somebody mention oil in their videos, people get into their feelings? And all of a sudden, oh, the oil is the only certain people getting the oil money. Why do we get into our feelings instead to try to grasp what somebody trying to say? Tell me. We discover oil and all of a sudden people just feel entitled that they're supposed to get the oil money. It's supposed to just drop in your lap. Listen to me, I left Guyana and I know why I left Guyana. I left Guyana because I wanted to give my child opportunities. And at the time, and still now, well, no, I heard they have other universities in Guyana, but at the time when I was there, when my child was born in 1996, there was only one university. And I knew that I wanted my child to have options. So I decided to come to the United States of America. For that reason, I left Guyana as a young adult. I did not, when I went back to Guyana 2 weeks ago, it was the first time I was doing business as an adult. And everything just seemed like foreign to me because I didn't realize how things worked. Okay? But let me stick to the conversation. Guyana, there are many successful people in Guyana, and you know why they're successful? They're successful because they understand the power of intellect, they understand the power of having an education, they understand that they have to shift their mindset, they have to have a hustler mindset. And the ones who sit down every day and crying that is the government and the racism, and they ain't doing nothing, they want everything to drop on your lap, I can't help you with that. Okay? Bottom line, I went to Guyana 2 weeks ago, and as I was driving in my country, I was at awe at some of the progress. Even though we got some new roads going over on the west coast that don't have no asphalt, and when you're driving, it's like you're ready for getting an abortion. We still got some roads. Okay? I like to look at the glass full instead of half empty. All right? But in addition to that, every house that you pass in Guyana, every other house, there's a shop. Now, at some point with a developing country like ours, we're going to need to have zoning. And these commercial shops that keep popping up between expensive housing properties going to have to stop, because people will lose the value of their property when you got a knock-up stand at every other house. You understand? But I understand why people are doing it. That's how they earn a living. They have a little convenience store in front of their house. A neighbor wants a cup of rice, they could buy a cup of rice. A neighbor only have enough money to buy half cup of rice. That small man is going to provide it. You understand? So I understand why every other house got a shop. So when certain people come to me and say, oh, it's hard, me making no money in Guyana, what are you doing to shift your mindset? All y'all up on social media scrolling and talking rasp on people's video. Y'all realize that y'all could be making money on social media too. So y'all don't come with the excuses. I can't handle excuses. It's either you have a mindset to get or you have a mindset to complain. Which one you fit into? And to end the last of it, why on earth you gonna go take a man who illegal and you not got no paper? And a blind a lead blind? Blind leading blind. So don't come with an argument, because first of all, if you know the man illegal, why you with he? This is why you're not successful. This is why you run from Guyana because you think you're gonna become rich overnight, and you're gonna come rich overnight because it's a blast.
It's cooked, y'all. Guyana got caught up in a 360 deal. The same 360s that they use to trap your favorite artists, Guyana's caught up in one right now. In 2016, Guyana signs a deal with 3 of the largest oil companies in the world. I'm talking Exxon, I'm talking Chevron, I'm talking CNOOC, I'm talking big oil. In the deal, they give Guyana $60 billion. Guyana has to spend that money with them to build the oil rigs to get the oil. So essentially, they found a way to make Guyana take on all the risk, all the expenses, and they're going to leave with all the profits. Watch. Guyana has 11 billion barrels of oil. That's a $500 billion on a bad day. Guyana only got $18 million as a signing bonus. Just as a reference, for around the same amount of oil, Brazil got a $2.1 billion signing bonus. But the main part of the deal is the $60 billion that they gave to Guyana. Guyana has to pay back every cent of that $60 billion. Until they pay that money back, Big Oil is going to take 75% of the oil production of Guyana. So that leaves Guyana with only 25% of their oil, right? No, that 25%, they call that profits. They want to split that in half and give Guyana 12.5%. They tell Guyana they're going to give Guyana a 2% royalty. So Guyana leaves with 14.5% of their oil production, and Big Oil leaves with 85.5%. Why would Guyana agree to this? Big Oil says once Guyana pays back the $60 billion, they're going to split it 50-50. So Guyana's going to pay for the entire operation, and in the end, Big Oil's going to give them half. The oil companies don't even stop there. They don't even want to pay taxes in Guyana. Guyana has to pay the oil companies taxes out of that 14.5%. That's $1.7 billion right out the gate. Also, when they're done drilling, Big Oil doesn't want to pay to decommission those oil rigs. Guyana has to pay for it. And Guyana doesn't have to pay for it 30 years from now when they're going to be decommissioned. No, they want Guyana to pay for it up front. That's another $3.2 billion that Guyana has to pay right out the gate. This is not even the worst part. Up until right now, this is just a terrible, terrible deal. This is how it's going to turn into a 360. This is how this turns into a life sentence for Guyana.
Oil well supposed to be for all Guyanese. I do not understand why people still living in poverty, why things are so expensive in the market, why teachers and nurses' salary cannot be increased effectively. But that makes sense, okay? Get them a raise, that makes sense. Guyana getting billions of dollars in oil money. Guyanese are supposed to be begging for cash grant, okay? Okay, Mr. President.
Are the backbone of this country. Those were the people who suffered through the Guyana before oil, the Guyana through the Granger, the Ramatar, the Barnum. There are still people alive today who suffered through those administration. Those administration when there were no oil revenue. Those administration where Guyana didn't have much. When country like Barbados wouldn't accept us. When you had to apply 3,000 times to get a visa to America. Those were the country that didn't care about us. That Guyana is what I'm speaking about. Now, those people are the people that would have taught Dr. Afanali. Those people were the people that would have taught Dr. Barajak Dio. Those people were the people who carried Guyana on their back. So I'm going to bring this challenge back that Indar, Honorable, made earlier in the week. And that challenge is to challenge you to immediately increase the pensioner's salary to at a minimum 50%. That's $20,000 more than you're paying them now. And I challenge you that I will show you, VPAC will show you where the money is and how to find the money to give it to these pensioners. The money is there. And I'm going to tell the pensioners, I don't care if you're from Region 1 to Region 10. I don't care of your race. I don't care of your religion, of your ethnicity. You were the backbone to this country. And for you to be sitting at home knowing that when there was no oil, you stand up, you fought for Guyana. You carried Guyana on your back. It was your tax revenue that kept us going when there was no oil. It was your sweat and tears. It was you walking them long road because you didn't, and jumping in them Morris Oxford. When Guyana had no oil. And for you to sit here now and to be suffering, the first thing we should have done is reward those pensioners. The first thing we should have done is make sure that they're properly compensated. You know why? All these people, I remember when I started my first job in America, the only thing that people remember Guyana of was either Jim Jones or to mock at you, to say, you come on a banana boat. The point that I'm getting at, people, if those people would have suffered, and we can find money, that every time you cut the news on, you see more corruption. Why can't we find the money to, at minimum, give those pensioners a 50% increase? And I challenge every opposition leader today to support this call, and every sitting member of the government, of that entire cabinet, the ones that say no, y'all wait, because they're going to be a next presidential candidate. And you make sure that that same one that say no, you put a big X, that you're not voting for them. You vote them out. Because you know what? The next election is local government. So that's what you're going to show them. You, the pensioner, every one of you, 80,000 of you, are going to come out and support this message. Demand immediate 50% increase. Immediately. Move it from 41,000 to 61,000. Now, I am telling you, the president, I am telling you, the entire government, the opposition don't even need to vote. The same way you went and got 51 billion, go back and get the money and increase the pensioner's salary. I mean, pensioners' dividends, because the money is there. We are now extracting over 1 million barrels of oil per day. That is that's what we're being told. And you're telling me that every time we cut the news on, we can see another billion being wasted. Well, we can't reward the people who fought for Guyana, who carried Guyana on their back. If you people don't wake up and understand that you were the one that elected this government, elected the government before, and all the previous government, and you are the one that can put them out. Guyana now belongs to foreign investors. People that didn't care. They didn't know. When you tell them Guyana, they say Ghana. No, I'm speaking about Guyana. Yes, Guyana. Them people that was carrying Guyana, I am saying today, I demand of the government to increase that salary. Asli Mohammed, opposition leader, you screamed and yelled for 50%. Now that you have highlighted all the corruption, start screaming and yelling and support this. Reshare this. Show the Guyanese people that you are not just there, like some people are saying, for your own benefit. You have highlighted the corruption, so we now know where the money is. Let us demand of this government to increase our pension. We got to start from the top, man. Without them, there wouldn't have been no Guyana. There wouldn't have been us today fighting for increase in salary and all these different things, because they stood with us. They carried Guyana. Who do you reward? They can't get a second job anymore. They're too old. You can't demand, me and you, we can say, you know what, we've been underpaid, we got to do 2 or 3 jobs. Are we going to ask the pensioner who's already retired to come back and find 2 jobs to survive? No, we're going to ask of the government to do the right thing. Or I'm telling you, the pensioners, come local government election, you show them they didn't care for you, and you're now going to vote for someone who stand up and who is prepared to do what's right for you. And this is how we're going to change. And this is how we're going to start bringing change in. We're going to start with a pensioner. You know, I was thinking maybe I should encourage the pensioners to come out in a peaceful protest. But I'm still processing it. And you can drop it in the comment section. Just maybe. We don't have to come out in one place. We can come out in front of our house. We pick a day. And each and every one of us, if we got to come out in a wheelchair, just sit in front of your house with a piece of white flag that signify you stand with this message. Come out with a piece of white cloth, a white t-shirt, a white vest. That means you stand with this message. I want my 50% increase now. For those of you out there who have a grandmother who don't have a smartphone, who can't see this message, play it for her. Play it for him, because they deserve the dignity. They deserve the fairness. They deserve to be compensated for what they have done.
Is doing a lot of the heavy lifting for the Caribbean's economy. Without them, the rest of us are barely growing. I'm Kalila from Money Media, bringing you money news for the Caribbean. So, according to the Caribbean Development Bank, CDB, the region could see economic growth of about 6.2% in 2026. Sounds strong, right? But that number is almost entirely being driven by Guyana's booming oil industry. Without Guyana, the CDB said the expected growth across the rest of the Caribbean drops to just 1.1%. In other words, Guyana is doing a lot of heavy lifting. The country is expected to grow by more than 20% this year, thanks largely to expanding offshore oil production. And that rapid expansion is pushing the region's overall growth numbers higher, making the Caribbean economy look stronger than it actually is. In 2025, economic growth across the Caribbean slowed significantly. While most countries had recovered from the pandemic, the pace of expansion was more moderate than in the years right after COVID-19. And many Caribbean economies still heavily depend on tourism, imports, and global economic conditions. Countries like Jamaica, Barbados, and the Bahamas are also heavily service-based, with construction and infrastructure projects helping to drive activity. The 1-2 punch of Hurricane Beryl and Melissa, plus the USA's changing tariff regime, seriously impacted those sectors. But Guyana was the clear outlier. While most Caribbean economies expanded slowly, Guyana continued its streak of double-digit growth as oil production increased and investment poured into their energy sector. That single economy ended up boosting the entire region's numbers. Now fast forward to 2026 and the outlook looks similar. The CDB says growth across the region will remain modest this year. Service-based economies are expected to depend heavily on tourism and construction to drive economic activity. Commodity exporting countries like Guyana, Suriname, and Trinidad could see mixed results depending on global oil prices and production levels. And then there's the bigger global picture. Small Caribbean economies are still vulnerable to things like global inflation, shifting commodity prices, and geopolitical tensions. Now there's this conflict between the US, Israel, and Iran, which can quickly slow growth in tourism-dependent countries. So while the Caribbean economy might look healthy on paper, the reality is a lot more complicated, and that's the bottom line. So, what do you think about this news? Let me know in the comments. Click subscribe for money news like this straight to your inbox. Let's get this money.
Let's get this money.
History of Guyana and the reasons why China and the U.S. is interested in Guyana. So for those of you who probably been hearing about Trump talking about access to the Panama Canal and the U.S. taking back interest in that, I truly believe a lot of it has to do with this oil discovery that's taking place in Guyana. Guyana has discovered more oil than Saudi Arabia. Guyana's poised to be one of the fastest growing economies in the world. If you look at the World Bank and the IMF, they talk about Guyana's GDP right now, and Guyana is the fastest growing economy. And so just looking at the numbers, it makes sense. And if you do any research about this oil discovery in Guyana, you would understand why the Panama Canal has now been a point of talk and why people are talking about it. It's interesting to know that Guyana has this major oil discovery, and a lot of economists are really talking about how this discovery is probably the biggest that is known to man. And if you don't know, ExxonMobil is the main beneficiary because they have 45% stake of the oil. And then you have Hess, who's an oil company out of the US, also has 30%. But China has a company called the Chinese National Offshore Oil Company, and they have 25% of the stake of oil. And so we're hearing all this talks about tariffs. I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of this has to do with the oil and how is China going to get this oil out of Guyana, which is located in South America, right next. If you look at the path of the Panama Canal, it will make sense that that's where the Chinese will have to draw out that oil if they wanted to take the oil and take it back to China. So with all these things being said, this book, Oil Rich, can be found on Amazon.com, or you could even go to Barnes & Noble. And so there's so much going on in Guyana right now. I'm going to talk next time about Elon Musk and his interest in Guyana. And the reason why that's important is because Elon Musk, we all know, is Trump's top advisor, but he also has ties to China. He also has ties to India. And most importantly, he was born in South Africa. And why would I put all that together? Because if you don't know about BRICS economy and what BRICS is, it's Brazil, China, Russia, India, and South Africa. And so we have Elon Musk, who's very close to the US government right now, and things that he wants to do with our payment system and money and finance. And so it worries me a little bit, and I'll talk about this more. But if you know about BRICS and what BRICS' main goal is to really sideline the US dollar. And that's why it's important to understand what's taking place with Guyana and with all this oil discovery, because a lot of it will depend on what's going on in Guyana. Guyana holds the key to a lot of energy renewal plans. And so once again, get your copy of Oil Rich. My name is William Smith. I hope you grab this book, and I'll talk more about BRICS, Elon Musk, and why we should be concerned with his influence in our government in the US. Have a great day.
My good people, welcome back to this amazing channel. Guys, I thank you so much for always coming back. I do appreciate your presence. So at this point, let's talk about Guyana. And guys, I don't know if you've noticed something of late. Guyana has been on the headlines. And that's not that there has been sports there or tourism, but there has been this story or talk about oil. I mean, a lot of oil, by the way. So we've seen experts call this particular issue to do with oil in Guyana is one of the biggest oil success stories in the world. The economy itself has grown at an incredible pace. The government revenue has increased. If you look at foreign companies that are actually investing in Guyana, they have actually invested in billions, not even millions, On paper, Guyana looks very rich than ever, but I don't know if you've noticed something about Guyanese people. They're asking so many questions. They're asking where the money is going to or what it's doing, the oil money. So if you are new here, guys, don't forget to like, subscribe, and join the conversation in the comment section below. Today, we are looking at a question that has sparked debate across the good island of Guyana and even among Guyanese that are living abroad. We have some people that are saying that the island is actually changing. We have others that are saying that the island is actually not changing and they cannot feel that change. So what do you think is really happening in Guyana? Let us talk about it. But first, I want us to be fair in this conversation. We are not going to deny the fact that Guyana has actually experienced an economic transformation. If you look at Guyana some few years ago, there were few people that imagined this particular thing could actually happen, the growth. And then oil comes in, or rather, later on they discover oil. And this particular discovery of oil is changed everything. These few people that believed that nothing will ever change in Guyana were surprised. So after the discovery was actually made, we saw this particular production starting, and then more discoveries of oil. Then you see investors coming in, the government's revenue increases. We see international organizations talking with Guyana or about Guyana. We also see even some who called it like the fastest growing economy in the world. I mean, very impressive. And it is actually. But at the end of the day, you need to understand that economic growth does not always mean everyone feels richer. That's where today's debate begins from, because if you look at many citizens of Guyana, they're saying that they're still struggling to afford food, rent, the basic needs. They're still worrying about paying their bills. Look at grocery bills, rent, food, medical, and that has really raised a lot of important questions. Because if billions are entering the economy, why is it that we have so many Guyanese people that are still feeling like their financial stability is not yet there? They still feel that pressure. And why is it that so many of them feel that way? If you look at food prices, it's one of the biggest complaints in Guyana at the moment. You see many families that are like, groceries costs more than before. So you get to see this simple household who is now shopping like basic needs. They're actually denying themselves what they could have bought for the sake of budgeting for the family. So salaries are there, or salaried people are there. Remember, these salaries, they have not been increased, but Everyday bills increase. Inflation is affecting everybody. I understand it's not just in Guyana, but also around the world, and that's the truth. So many countries are now facing higher prices, and we've seen the reason as to why it has been going up, especially if you remember the Strait of Hormuz story. Iran, America, yeah. So many people in these countries are asking so many questions, but today we will be focusing on Guyana because the citizens of Guyana are asking, why is it that an oil-rich country cannot be able to reduce some financial pressures here and there? They really want to know because housing is another concern that has been really eating on the mind of the Guyanese people. Many of them are saying that finding affordable housing has become harder and harder. Property prices have increased, rent has increased. Okay, we have those that are at least capable and they have the finances, they're like, yeah, it's okay. But so many Guyanese are like, no, this is not correct. Especially property owners. Young families are actually struggling. Workers cannot afford these particular homes, around where they work. Because, as demand grows, prices will have to rise, of course. Again, the Guyanese people are asking who is really benefiting from this oil boom. Another issue that is facing the Guyana people is lack of jobs. As much as oil has increased or it has created opportunities, still it has not been able to really bring in so many Guyanese. We cannot disagree with the fact that it has created jobs, that new businesses have opened, construction has expanded, foreign companies have come in. Many people of Guyana are still asking whether enough quality jobs are actually reaching ordinary Guyanese. Because, it's believed that more investment in education and technical training is needed. And that's a discussion that has taken over across the entire island. Healthcare is something that you will never actually miss talking about if you're talking about the impact of oil boom in Guyana. Many Guyanese want better hospital, better healthcare, shorter waiting times, they want more specialists, better equipment. So the government officials, on the other hand, we've seen them in public forums or doing speeches, interviews, and they have announced investments in the health sector. They have talked about new facilities coming in. They have talked about new hospitals being upgraded. But many people in Guyana are saying that improvements come really slowly. It needs to come fast so that it can help families who are actually dealing with illnesses. Because at the end of the day, if you keep them waiting, then it's going to be difficult. Education is another thing. The people of Guyana, the parents, they really want better schools. The teachers want more resources in the schools. The students want more opportunities, especially after completing the university. Because you see, many of us believe that oil wealth should actually help prepare the next generation. Not just today, but for decades to come. Because oil itself, it's not like it's going to last forever, no. And of course, now we need to talk about the Natural Resource Fund. Most of us have heard about this, especially the Guyanese. But again, not everybody understands it. So natural resource fund is a fund that's created to manage oil revenues in Guyana. The idea in itself, if you look at it, natural resource fund, it's very straightforward, and it's all about saving, it's all about investing wisely, it's all about supporting development, protecting future generations. We've seen many countries having the same type of programs. And for those who support the current administration in Guyana, they're saying that this will help avoid reckless spending. But again, the opposition, if you put yourself in their shoe, you'll hear them talking about transparency, which must come first, accountability. So at the end of the day, many people will want to know how decisions are made, how much money has actually entered into the fund, how much has left, and where did it go. I mean, these are reasonable questions in many democratic countries. Remember, transparency will build trust 100%. Accountability will actually build confidence. If you look at government's position in Guyana, the representatives are saying that major developments are already happening. The roads are being expanded, new bridges are under construction, housing projects are continuing, schools are continuing to be built, hospitals are being improved, the energy projects, they are actually moving very, very fast. So, according to the government, these investments, they do take time, and therefore large national projects, it's not like it's going to be completed in an overnight. No. Planning takes years, execution takes years, construction, So the goal is a long-term development that's according to the government, not a short-term popularity, which really makes sense. So those who support the current administration believe that the country is moving in the right direction. Because if you ask them, like, well, how can you prove it? They'll point at cranes, they'll point at construction sites, new highways, growing investment, and say that change is visible. Maybe not everywhere, but certainly in some parts of Guyana. But then the opposition, they'll always remain unconvinced and say that ordinary families should already be seeing bigger improvements, saying that strong economic growth should translate into noticeable improvement in daily life. That difference of opinion fuels today's national conversation. And we've seen people coming out with different views on this. Some will celebrate the few projects that are started, continuing, and as completed. Others will be skeptical, others will be patient, others will demand answers. So, I mean, I will say that if you look at what the Guyanese people are saying, some will actually be like this, that you see this oil boom in Guyana, it's one of the country's biggest opportunity. But again, remember that in every conversations that we do have, there are those that will support, others will be skeptical, others will oppose, and that's how a democratic country functions. At the end of the day, history offers many lessons. We get to learn a lot. We've seen several countries discover valuable natural resources, and they have used it wisely. They probably invested in education, healthcare, infrastructure, savings, and future generation or the future of the country. We've seen others who discovered natural resources and they're still struggling because corruption became a problem, overspending became a problem, economic inequality increased, and I don't know if you can call this a resource curse. I don't know, because remember, it doesn't happen everywhere. It just needs good governance. Many economists are always saying that, you see, these countries, third world countries, they should actually work hard to avoid corruption and all those things, because at the end of the day, they need to have good planning because it matters. They need to have strong and working institutions. They need to be transparent so that they can earn public trust. They need to be accountable so that the people can be confident with them. So Guyana, if you look at it, it now stands at an important moment, because you see many people believe that the decisions that are being made today will actually shape the country's future, for many decades to come. And that's very important to note, by the way, because they're not just about today's budget. They are actually talking about tomorrow, 30, 20 years to come. Because I know many of you will be asking themselves, like, how should success look like? Should success only be measured by GDP, or should it also be measured by better schools, better hospitals, affordable housing, reliable electricity, good jobs, safe communities? Because I believe that's where ordinary people get to see the real change. When their life gets better, when the economy gets better, that is the very thing that they do value a lot. You see, the challenge that is facing these very rich natural resource countries, is corruption. You see the economy of the country telling one story. The citizens' daily experiences tell another, and both of them do matter, because the citizens will continue to ask questions. The government must continue providing answers for where they're actually taking the money. I mean, having these conversations are very healthy, by the way. Constructive criticism is very healthy because it actually helps you understand what you could have done better and how. Celebrating our progress is also very healthy, because the main goal is a stronger Guyana, a more prosperous Guyana, a future where the country's natural wealth benefits as many people as possible. Kindly comment down below. I really want to know what you think about this particular story of ours. Do you think Guyana's oil wealth is already improving the life of an ordinary citizen in Guyana, or do you believe that people should already be seeing much bigger change in Guyana? Share your thoughts in the comment section. I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye, my good people. I love you to the moon and